the How-To series, brought to you by the Women's Business Center of North Alabama.
Hi, my name is Ellen Didier. I'm with Red Sage Communications. We provide strategic website development and marketing services to organizations throughout the Southeast. In this installment of the How-To series for the Women's Business Center, I'm going to tell you how to promote your business in ways that are free or almost free. This is great for any small business, small organization, although even larger ones will benefit from what I'm talking about today. Okay, so what we'll cover today: what to do before you start shamelessly promoting your organization, how to do the traditional basics, how to build business using your existing customer database, how to use social media, and how to leverage your website. And again, most of these things are either going to be low cost or no cost. So first, what to do before you start shamelessly promoting your business. This is really basic marketing. You've got to know what you want to accomplish before you even start doing anything. So for example, some goals, because every organization will have different goals. One could be, I want to grow my business into a certain market or area. It could be to promote a new service. That could be the goal, is just to spread word about something new you're doing. It could be to grow your customer base beyond where it is, marketing a specific demographic. Whatever it is you're looking to achieve, starting off by writing down those goals so that everything you do afterwards focuses on achieving those goals is really going to benefit you. So when you're thinking about your goals, after you've established that, then you want to start thinking about your brand. How are you different? What's your value statement? What is it that makes your company unique in the marketplace? It helps to do a SWOT analysis, and which sounds very, very hardcore and fancy, but what that means is write down your strengths on a piece of paper. What are you very, very good at? Where are the areas that you're a little bit weaker compared to your competitors? What are opportunities in the marketplace that you should be pursuing, and what are threats or things that could pose a threat to your business as you're seeking to grow and achieve your goals? So your marketing has to convey your brand very, very well through how it looks and reads. Identify who you're targeting. This is important. This is called target markets. What types of customers are the most profitable or easiest to get? Or what are other target groups? So looking at my company, for example, for Red Sage, we have very specific target markets. We reach out to small businesses, and I have a set of activities based around those. We reach out to economic development groups across the state of Alabama. Very different message from small business. And we're expanding into a third market, technology companies that are smaller, located in Huntsville. So you could see three extraordinarily different markets. Each will require their own message and own approach to reach to it. So when you're looking at your business, you need to look at the markets you're trying to reach. Just saying any business, I just want to sell to businesses, or I want just everyone in the general public to know, isn't specific enough. You've got to be specific when talking about your markets. All right, once you've identified your markets, you have to talk about what messages are specific to that market. For economic development for Red Sage, for example, for that market, I'm coming up with a message that says we know what site selectors are looking for. We participate in conferences at the industry level to stay up to date on trends. For general business or small business, our message is very different. It says pretty much that we want to make sure that anything we do for you provides return on investment, that we track your marketing and we really focus on making it effective. Again, two very different messages because we have very different target groups. Do the same thing for your business. For each of your markets, look at what message is the top message you really want to make sure that market understands. Okay, when you're writing these messages, make sure that you keep them short and focused. Don't use paragraphs. People hate reading these days. So make sure you're talking in bullet lists or short statements. The more focused you are, the more to the point, and don't write fluff. People hate fluff now too. So just make sure that you keep it short, sharp and focused. All right, the second thing, now that you've really looked at who you're marketing to, what your goals are, what those messages are to each market, now we have to start talking about how are you going to use the different options you have to reach those markets. Before we talk about some of the traditional things that cost more money, like radio or TV, which most of us don't have the budget for these days, talk about the traditional basics. There are a lot of free things that you can do that really do get your message out in very, very powerful ways. All right, the first thing, typically you don't need a very lengthy brochure, but oftentimes people do like to receive something that lists your services or tells a little bit about what your company does. What we like to use are rack cards. They're not fold-out brochures or trifolds, but they're a 4-inch by 9-inch tall card that you can flip around very easily and just scan. Again, this is where your bullet list messages really become important. So these rack cards, typically what we do is include just a bullet line of services, bullet list of services by audience. You could have a different rack card by audience or one general one that covers everything. It's nice to put testimonials on these and possibly even examples of your work or a list of customers that you've worked with or anything like that. Again, easy to scan, and it's a handout that's professional and does set the visual tone for your business. You can build your own rack card pretty easily. Instead of hiring a company like Red Sage, for example, there are options for smaller organizations, and you can build them yourself. If you go to Vistaprint, for example, and there are other companies out there, but Vistaprint is an online company where you have literally hundreds of templates of rack cards, trifold brochures, postcards, and a lot of different kinds of print pieces that you can choose from. They have it sorted by industry. And you can then go in online through your web browser and modify each of these templates with your information. They're professional designs, they're very attractive, and it's going to be a lot better and more professional looking than if you were arranging something just using Microsoft Word on your computer. This is an example of Vistaprint, for example. You can look at the search by keyword or item number. So for example, you might put dentist or medical in there. You could also browse designs by industry or by styles, modern, traditional, colorful, neutral, anything like that. There's a lot of selectors, so it makes it easy to find what you're looking for that would be a good fit for the brand of your company. As you can see, now this is in early 2011, depending on when you're looking at this, but this is the current pricing from Vistaprint. And you can see that it is extremely low cost. For 50 rack cards, for example, it is less than $20, $11.24. For 500, it's again less than $100. Very, very low cost and affordable, and this includes that design template that you can go in and customize. Another great tool that you can use is press releases. These are a very, very traditional way of sending out the word about news in your industry or news about what you're doing as a company, about employees that have joined your company that are new employees, anything like that, significant milestones for your company. You can send out press releases to local publications. We typically cover local newspapers. If there are trade publications specific to your industry, we typically would want to or encourage you to send out press releases to those as well. So you have to be sure that you're not making it blatant promotion. You can't just send it saying we just finished this one project unless it's an extremely significant project. It has to be truly newsworthy. This is always a coin toss as to whether or not the papers will pick it up. But even if they don't pick it up, a lot of times you can submit it online through pr.com, and the online, it gets picked up from news feeds, for local news feeds from Google and other search engines. All right, networking is a critical tool for any business, especially service companies. You want to be sure that when you're going to networking events, you're not just looking to go up to people and say, hi, my name is Ellen Didier from Red Sage. We do websites. Do you need a website? That's a heavy sell, and that really turns people off. People like that are very irritating. What you want to do instead is establish relationships. Don't try to talk to every single person in the entire room. Make sure you talk to different people, a small handful of people that are fairly targeted if you do have the option of knowing who's going to be there or have some targets that you've been trying to get in front of that you see there. And then just talk. Ask them what they do. Ask them questions about their industry. So for example, I might say to an aerospace company, a smaller one, a supplier, what are the trends in your industry? What's going on with the government these days? How is that impacting you? How does your website fit into all this? You could slide things like that in, but again, just be more genuinely interested in who they are and what they're doing. People and networking, it's based on relationships. So any way you can establish that relationship, find common things to talk about, is just so much easier to start there, and then if you get the chance, talk about your services. A lot of times what I end up doing is I look for people I know if they're standing in a group of people that I don't know, and I'll go and say hello to the person I know and hope that they introduce me to the others and start there. It's not nearly so intimidating, and it's very, very effective. Another thing is where to network. Depending on what kind of industry you're in, it could be Chamber of Commerce events, it could be your customers' trade associations. And that's important because if you're just networking within your trade associations, if, for example, Red Sage, we do participate in Public Relations Council and the Ad Federation, but typically we don't get referrals out of there. That's more for our education. Where our jobs come from and where our new customers come from is networking in our customers' trade associations like economic development groups or Chamber of Commerce events where it is general business, anything like that. So you want to be where your customers are. It's very important. If you have a guest list beforehand, and it's a lengthy guest list, like a conference list or attendee list, for example, if that's published beforehand, try to look through that and list or put a mark by the people that you really want to make sure you talk to before the conference is over. I did that before I went on the Chamber of Commerce DC trip, and I had a list of probably about 80 names. Out of those names, I identified 15 companies that I wanted to be sure I talked to that were small enough and fit our target market. And then I was very, very strategic in looking at people's name tags to see if I could find those people and make sure I got to talk to them. Very effective, and I got several meetings out of it. So be strategic. Relationships, establish relationships, and then strategy. Don't try to talk to everyone, and be very targeted in who you talk to and how you approach them. Speaking engagements set you up as an expert in your field, and so the people in the audience immediately feel a rapport with you and are more likely to use your services or refer you if they don't need your services but trust what you have to say, and then refer you to friends or business associates that may need what you're offering. With speaking engagements, it has to be educational. You can't just do a sales pitch up here. Now notice, as I've talked already, I have worked in several things about my company, who we work with, what our target markets are. I can work it in, but it's used as an illustration within overall education. So regardless of what you're looking for your company, giving you real-world examples using my company is going to help you, and it helps me in the speaking engagement. Your third tool. Work your existing customer database. This is very important. Your existing customers are already sold on working with your business. They've chosen you before, so to sell deeper into your service line or to ask them for referrals really is a no-brainer. Make your customers feel special. We try to touch base with our customers on a quarterly basis. And the reason for this is, in my industry, I do web hosting. There are some customers I have where all we've done for them is build a website. I do not want my only contact with them to be the invoice that they get for hosting once a year. I don't want that to be the contact. So what we do is we have a system that reminds me to set them up for quarterly phone calls. And the system actually shoots up a reminder that says, who are you supposed to call this month? I can click, get their phone number, call them there, and make notes as to what we talk about. So that's been critical because our customers then, the relationship is connected. I stay connected to them several times throughout the year. And again, we only have maybe 100 to 200 customers, so it's not that bad. It's maybe 15 phone calls a month that we're doing, and we rotate it out. So it works extraordinarily well. It's a time to say, this is just our quarterly phone call. We told you we make this commitment to all of our customers, and just wanted to check in, see how your business was going. There's a couple customers that I know very well, and I ask them about their kids in college, just because they're my friends. They're customers, but they're friends, and I want to know about it. But it also gives me a chance, if I've added a service, to say, did you know we did this, or we just went through an office move, or do you have anything coming up? I know that last year you were going to this trade show about this time. Do you need anything for that? Is there anything we could help you with or do better? And so it's a great way to stay in touch with them, get feedback, and make them keep us top of mind is really the biggest thing. Just keep us top of mind. That's really what it comes down to. Other ways of accomplishing this outside the quarterly phone calls is welcome notes for new customers. You can do welcoming notes for new customers. You can do thank you notes at the completion of projects. We actually purchase level recognition with gifts. What that means for our customers that spend over $2,500 with us on a single project, we typically give a $15 box of candy from a local candy company that's amazing candy, and give them that. And that was an idea from one of my employees, and I thought it was great, and customers really appreciate it. And again, if you're doing a project and billing $2,500 to $7,000, a $15 box of candy doesn't cost much. All of my employees sign a thank you note that goes with the box of candy. Every one of us does in the company, and we send that out, and that builds goodwill as well. Customer of the quarter gift cards. This idea actually came from my dentist. I was a customer of the quarter one time. I think it's because I flossed. But what she ended up doing was saying, congratulations, you're our customer of the quarter. And she brought out this little tray that had about 10 different, I think they were $10 gift cards, very small denominations, but I ended up getting one from Sonic, and I ended up buying drinks for all of my employees. Not beer or anything, it was actually milkshakes and stuff like that. But I thought it was neat. I could have chosen Starbucks or Sonic or Target, or they had a variety so it really did give customers a choice. Wasn't a lot of money, and she spent $40 a year, $10 a quarter, to recognize customers, and that made me feel special. And at the end, that's what you're trying to do with your existing customers. Make them feel special and make them feel like it's not just an invoice, it's not just the projects. You truly do enjoy them as people, and it goes beyond the work. That relationship really transcends even the work that you're doing. To set up quarterly calls, I'm showing you right here the Salesforce screen. We use Salesforce CRM, and this can also be done in Outlook, and I know that there are other ways that you could set this up. There's other software programs out there. So if you have a database or a system in-house, go ahead and see if yours does this, or look at Outlook or look at Salesforce. This is what the screen looks like. My tasks, you can see annual call, quarterly call, and you have the company name that I can click on and go to their phone number and do it. And then I can schedule the next one when I complete that call, and it works out very, very well. So I don't have to, it's not much of a hassle to maintain the system. It really, you add customers as you add new customers, you close out jobs, and you put them in the scheduling. We audit it once a year to make sure we're not overlooking anyone. And again, it's easy and it works out well. And we keep our customers and sell further into them because we're contacting them. The pricing on Salesforce, again, this is 2011, so depending on when you're looking at this, this was the pricing at that time. For up to 5 users, is only $5 per user per month. Extremely robust tools, and no, I don't get paid by Salesforce to tell you this, but I just really enjoy the tool, and they have great tools within it. Referral programs, customer referral programs. How do you reward customers for giving you referrals to other people? The idea that I got from my dentist, and actually her husband also, who's an eye doctor, I think they swap ideas, but they actually, if you make a referral to them and that referral turns into an actual customer, your name gets put into a drawing, and they give away bigger things twice a year. So for example, I think my eye doctor right now has a current giveaway where you are put in a drawing for a grill. They've also done iPads, and again, it's higher level things that you have the opportunity to win. So it does encourage referrals, especially because the gifts are so nice, and then you get recognition for making that referral, which is great. You have to decide, do you give something small for every single referral, or do you do something like I've just described where you do a larger gift once or twice a year? The other thing that goes hand in hand with referrals are testimonials. Even if you don't get a referral, at least get a testimonial from the customers that you have that are very happy. because for a service company, it is very hard to say, we do great work, because everyone says that. If your customers say it, and you could use those testimonials in your proposals or on your rack cards or on your website, all of a sudden you're having other people say, this company does great work, you really need to consider working with them. They go very, very far. E-newsletters are a great way to stay in touch with your existing customers. The key with e-newsletters is they are permission-based. You cannot just use them to send out to a database that you got for an association you belong to. The people have to have a relationship with you, which is a customer or vendor or employee relationship, or have specifically requested to receive emails from you. So it's the best way, or one of the best ways, to stay in touch with your existing customers. Typically, we send e-newsletters out either monthly or quarterly or as things happen. Some examples of how to use them: educational, if there's any big news about your company. It's very easy for people to unsubscribe to e-newsletters, so you want to make sure that the content is very good, it's pertinent, and it's something they really want to receive so they don't unsubscribe. The other nice thing about e-newsletters, they're a great way to drive traffic to your website. You don't want to write tons of articles or stories like you would put in a traditional print newsletter, because again, people don't want to read, especially in email form. So what you do is you do little snippets of information and click back to your website for the full story, or to see more photos from this event, or to see more examples of our work or anything like that. E-newsletters are also trackable. You can see how many people are opening them, what kinds of information they're clicking on. You can see even by name who's clicked on what, so it's potential that you could even use it as a follow-up tool to sell further to the people that are opening it. If you see one person that keeps clicking on this particular type of content about a specific service, you want to make sure you touch base in a very nonchalant way with that customer, not saying, saw you were reading my e-newsletter, and make sure you talk to them then, and in a non-threatening way, and just say, do you have any interest in this particular thing? Here are some examples of newsletters that I think are done extraordinarily well. Riverside Capital, this is a customer of ours. He does small business financial consulting. And his e-newsletters, well, I'm a small business owner, so I'm part of his target market. I think they're very, very well done. He starts off with a question, which typically is a question that I'm going to relate to, and then he writes very, very short summaries as to, these are some ways you could handle this thing that you're questioning. And then he ends up by saying, call me if you ever need to talk about anything like this, because this is what I do. I help companies like yours figure out solutions to the financial issues they're facing. Another way to use them is to show examples of work. This one is for a trade show company, and they do gorgeous displays. So showcasing their work shows A, who they're working with, and also a lot of variety in the types of displays they handle. People like looking at pictures, and this is a great way if you are in an industry where the photos of your products become the selling point. Great, great use for an e-newsletter. All right, the fourth topic, the fourth free or almost free way to shamelessly promote your business is social media. Now, I wish I had about 2 hours to talk to you about this, but I don't. So we're going to just be talking about very general things. And there's so many resources available, either in seminars or workshops or even online, on how to use this for business. So keep in mind, I'm just doing the tip of the iceberg here. But social media is very powerful. All it costs is time and a little bit of planning. So the basics. Social media, I heard somebody call social media the new word-of-mouth advertising, and that's really what it is. Instead of just people outside meeting each other talking about your business or talking about issues in the industry, it really does come down to, it's an online conversation, so the location is different, but it's the same idea. It's word-of-mouth advertising. You want to think conversations, not sales pitches. It's extremely personal. It's doing relationships. You could be a lot more informal than traditional marketing, which is nice. It's also nice because you could listen and watch trends. It's not a one-way, this is what I have to talk about. It's an opportunity for you to monitor what people are thinking about different things, or to see what are the hot trends based on people's conversations that could be potential for new business development or anything like that. There are a lot of different ways you could use social media. Each channel has its own strengths, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And the number one advice that I typically give people is only use the channels that you know you're going to maintain. For example, if you hate writing, I would not suggest you do a blog. Only do the things that you know you can do well. It is better to do one well than 4 very inconsistently without a lot of planning. So Facebook, let's talk about that for a moment. Facebook gives you the opportunity to showcase your work, to recognize customers, to share knowledge, and most importantly, to show your company's personality if that's appropriate. We do a balance of these things at Red Sage, and the personality ones always get the response. So every now and then we'll throw the education ones in or showcase our work, but invariably it's the times that we step outside of the sales and just say, look at the funny thing that happened at the office, or share a funny story or things like that, or even photos that really get the interaction. And that's what you're trying to do, is generate interaction, because what that's doing is leaving people with very warm, fuzzy feelings about your brand. It's not always a sales pitch, it's creating those relationships and those warm feelings. So you could also, this is when social media really starts working, is when you start cross-linking everything. So if you're doing a blog, you can post, hey, here's my latest blog article, and a link to that, it points over there. On your blog, you might have a link to your Facebook. On Facebook, you could also post videos from YouTube. You can post Twitter messages, anything like that. So you could post photos from Flickr or just standalone photos. So you can start cross-linking things very, very easily. You can link to things on your website and drive traffic that way. And a little bit more complex if you have the programming skill. You can embed, they do give you the code, so if you have the skill, you can put a like button on your website or by specific products on your website, or you could even add HTML coding to your Facebook page, and I'll show you some examples of that. All right, this is Cama Salon and Day Spa. If you read through some of these listings, they talk about a new service there. We're now offering feather extensions, call today. But then they also have their customers saying, my hairstylist, Allison, is the best hairstylist in the world. So they're starting to get a lot of interaction on theirs by keeping it very, very personal. This is ours, and this is what I'm talking about with one of those funny postings. One of our employees, Teresa, our web programmer who does dog rescue, she took a picture of her dog Sherman and said, if you can read that there, this is Sherman's face this morning when I told him that Red Sage wouldn't allow him to participate in National Take Your Dog to Work Day. That got interaction, which is kind of funny. But it's things like that that kind of share the personality at Red Sage that make it a lot more meaningful than here's our latest logo or here's our latest website. This shows who we are as people, and that's really what social media allows you to do. This is an example of integrating the like button on a web page. And this was a web page we had built for a Christmas promotion where we had, each of us chose a charity that we work with and built a microsite that listed each of those charities and why we're involved. And then we put like buttons on each of our pages about each of our charities and told our customers that the charity with the most likes by a certain date and time before Christmas would win our annual charity donation. So this was a way we posted it on Facebook. Our employees ended up posting it on their personal Facebook pages, which I did not request, but loved. And even the charities themselves started posting this on their pages to promote people to go to our site and start liking it. So it turned into this huge viral thing. And you could see on this one particular page, Teresa's Dawson Fund was the winner. And 237 people ended up putting like on there within a space of 3 weeks. It was tremendous visibility for us. It involved people in something that they got excited about, and it got a whole viral aspect going. So if you're creative in how you use Facebook, it really, really is a very powerful tool. This is an example of HTML on a Facebook page on Land's End, which we did not do. I'd love to say we did, but we didn't. But you can actually put HTML with links back to particular places on your website or on other tabs on your Facebook page. or to a Flickr gallery or YouTube channel or anything else like that. So there are ways to program Facebook to work more like a website and drive traffic outside of it to different channels that you're working on. LinkedIn is a very, very good one for business. If you're business to business and are trying to reach other business owners, it could be used for networking by looking, if you're trying to get into a specific company, for example, you could see which of your other contacts have the ability to hook you up and introduce you, which is nice. I find it very powerful with their groups feature. For example, economic development is one of our markets. So I have joined several economic development groups on LinkedIn, and if I participate in those conversations, we've actually gotten RFPs from other requests for proposal, from other states. So we've gotten potential business from LinkedIn, which is very, very nice. It's nice also because you can monitor what's important to these different groups. Again, it's not an opportunity to make a sales pitch, but to contribute to the group conversation about specific topics relative to that industry. The other nice thing about LinkedIn is you can request testimonials that show up on your LinkedIn profile. So again, it's another area where you can get other people or customers or people that you work with to give testimonials about the kind of work you do. This is an example on Startups, the Community for Entrepreneurs. That's a group that I belong to. Just to show you, if you're join a group, you have the potential when you go to that page to start a discussion or share something with the group. It's just like a status line, but it's almost like just an online discussion forum. Twitter is great for sharing news and a perspective. You have very few characters, but it is a way to get out quick announcements, quick information, and I find it very, very useful for, again, researching what people think about different trends going on in the industry, or even research, is your brand showing up anywhere out there, and what are people saying about your brand? So very, very interesting to do that. I actually was reading online last week that there was this one marketer that was actually using Twitter more than Google to find out information about current trends because of the conversations that were shared within that community. And he compared it to being like a market research group, which I thought was very, very interesting, that it's like your own big, huge focus group of everyone around the nation or world. So you could also find people in your general location who are following trends related to you, and then possibly reach out to them through LinkedIn or make contact with them, or start following them on Twitter and start getting a relationship going there. Blogging is actually one of the best search engine optimization tools that you can use. It is a wonderful tool. One of the things that Google and the other search engines look for is new content that has a lot of keywords in it, that keeps your site fresh. They think your site's more valid, and it does make you pop up higher in the search engines. Typically, the articles are short, they're very personal, they're conversational. Again, keep it informal, it's not a sales pitch. It could be educational, and then you can cross-link it with your website. You can cross-link it with Facebook, and even post, here's my new blog article on Twitter. So again, the more you point things at each other again, the better it all works. Other social media options, YouTube, you could use that for how-to videos. You could use it for product demonstrations, testimonial videos, presentations, anything like that, or create inspirational slideshows about things, anything like that. But you can create your own channel for YouTube for your company that you could start posting things to. We use issuu.com, issuu.com, and we share presentations like this one, for example, in slide format, not video format. We also put examples of our work where a web page, I could only use a flat image. Issuu, if I link to that, I could actually show somebody a multiple page brochure, and it becomes, I could embed it on my website, and it's an interactive flash thing where they could actually turn the pages, and it looks very interactive and rich. And it's free, and you just post things. You create your own your own issue gallery. Go ahead and share those things up there, bring them into your website, and link to them also from the other social media channels. Issuu.com is another thing where people, if they go to your channel on Issuu, can share or print or download your presentations. And there are different ways you could limit download if you don't want to let people download, but very interesting way to share documents. Flickr is for photos. So if you have a lot of events, it's a great way to create a Flickr channel and to share, create different galleries for different types of events. Again, it's free, and it can be embedded on your website. So very, very good tools out there these days. Last but not least, for ways to promote your business, how do you leverage your website? Search engine optimization is huge because that really extends your reach far beyond anything that you just print your website on and hope people find and go to. So the example I show here shows us, luckily, in the top position if I had typed in website design Decatur, Alabama. And that's everyone's goal. I want to show up #1 in the search engines for the topic I'm looking at that I want people to find if they enter it into the Google search box. So that's the goal right there, and that's what's meant by search engine optimization. So how do you do that? What you do is you make a list of 10 to 20 different search terms, use those and variations of those. Like, for example, I could use web design, I could put website design, I could put web development, website development, use a lot of different variations and put them throughout my site content, put them in my page titles, put them in alt tags. If you have an image, there's some code that you could put in there if you know how to do it, although even just having it in your content is great. Bullet lists, not paragraphs, are good. So Google does look at the coding that is used to create bullet lists on a web page. So that's another good way to create keyword rich and eliminate a lot of the fluff that goes around them. Keep it very, very short and focused so it's good for users and also helps you with your search words. This is another good option for a lot of businesses. Create a Google Maps listing. What that does is you can see on this particular one for Decatur, Alabama web development, that actually brought up a series of choices for companies that provide that service. And then underneath it, you could see some organic results is what they're called, the standard search results that show up under the Google Maps. How do you do that? First of all, see if it's available for your industry. So type in things like advertising agency, Decatur, Alabama, or plumber, Decatur, Alabama, or Huntsville, Alabama, anything like that to see is that a category that has this Google Map listing option. If you do see it showing up, see if you're listed. Even if you haven't particularly created an account with Google, you may be listed already. However, you can create an account, tie it to that listing, and you have a lot more options. You can create 5 categories that your listing should show up in. Like for us, we show up for advertising agencies, website development, graphic designer, I think is the third one. And we tie our listing to the 5 categories that we have picked that match our business. And that then will show up if anybody's doing a search on those category listings. Driving traffic to your website is very important for search engine optimization. And again, this is something that I talked about as far as linking everything together and pointing things at each other. You have links from other websites. So if you're a chamber member, make sure you have your website listed with the chamber on their website. Anything that you can do, any associations, any partnerships, anything like that, try to get links back into your website. Link back to it from social media, from your blogs, from your email newsletters, as many different ways as you could figure out to drive traffic to your site, the better off you'll be. If you don't have a website, you can look at build your own websites. There are options with GoDaddy, Network Solutions, 3D Cart. Several various options are out there, which is great. The benefit to these is they're very low cost for very small companies. They're a great thing. You can get them up and running quickly, and it's like Vistaprint, where you can really go in and choose templates and customize it with your information, and you don't have to be a web programmer, which is good. The only drawback is you have to have the time to do it, and you may not get the highest quality design that you would get with an agency or something like that. They can be kind of cookie cutter. But for a small organization, it may be perfectly acceptable. There are also options for some industries like dentists or chiropractors or accountants. There are certain industries where there are industry-specific websites that offer the same thing but with functional tools for those specific industries, which is a great option. Real estate sites, church sites, school sites, anything like that. Okay, make your site mobile friendly. This is very important these days. This is really the new trend in website development. So many people are moving to tablets or to cell phones to access web content if they're traveling, to have that access on the road. So you need to make sure that your website has an option for showing up very, very well on these different devices. Typically on mobile sites, you want to avoid using flash or complex layouts, and what we advise our clients normally, and again, just to date this thing, this is 2011, and it's going to be different in a year, I am sure. But right now, the best option seems to be to use a third-party mobile website option, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what this means. Mobile websites are optimized for, there are third-party companies that specialize in mobile websites, which means they have the resources to test these websites on as many different devices as possible, over 5,000 phones in most cases. They typically build in tools like Google Maps and location tools, analytics, they have QR code marketing, social media integration, coupons, reservation requests, they have automated text messages. There's a lot of different tools they offer, and they're not very expensive, and also are build your own and very easy to get up and running. Network Solutions, for example, has mobile website options for as low as $6 per month. Again, they're very simple, and for some businesses, just to get the basic overview going on your site, it's a very, very good option. You can do the store option as well, and that's actually one of the fastest growing trends, is people who are making purchases through their phones instead of a computer because they see something and it's an impulse buy. So you don't want to lose out on this market if you're selling something online already. Mofuse is another option, but again, if you look in, do a search in Google that just searches for mobile, build your own mobile websites or just mobile websites, and it will show you a lot of different vendors that you could check out. All right, so that wraps us up. That was a list of the 5 different areas in which you could promote your business shamelessly for free or almost free. We covered planning your approach. We covered not forgetting the traditional basics like networking and press releases. We talked about working your customer database. We talked about using social media. And finally, we talked about ways you can leverage your website. So I hope you found something that you could use and start leveraging your company today to grow to the next level. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Ellen Didier with Red Sage Communications, and this has been part of the How To series with the Women's Business Center of North Alabama.
The Women's Business Center of North Alabama, WBCNA, is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to help women and men start and grow a business and generate economic growth for the region. This is accomplished by serving as the premier source for information and access to resources, facilitating their self-discovery and personal development, and providing a mentoring process to support, nurture, and advocate the development of their business. WBCNA's services include startup assistance and nurturing, access to reduced rate services, access to financing, networking and business matchmaking opportunities, referrals to other resources, counseling and formal mentoring, executive level coaching, and business advisory boards. Specialized services of the WBCNA include the Government Procurement Assistance Center and the Veterans Business Assistance Center. For more information about WBCNA, please visit our website, wbcna.org. Get personal, create success.